The Twins just dropped the Royals in 3 straight and are ready to head into the All-Star break after 3 this weekend against the Orioles. We've got all that for you and much, much more. So buckle up. This is Locked On Twins Live.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again. Welcome back to Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warren, and you can find me on Twitter, but I probably wouldn't, at Brandon_WARNE. Thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And of course, we're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Again, belated happy 4th of July to everyone, and thanks for hanging with us here as the Twins sweep the Royals heading into the weekend. As a reminder, please feel free to be active in the comments. That's especially true on Locked On Twins Live when we're doing these live and in living color. So please feel free to be active there, but also in the YouTube comments and wherever else you see this. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or on Spotify. Wherever you're getting your shows, we'd love to hear from you, good, bad, or otherwise. Also, if you have questions or comments you'd like on the show, they can appear live in the chat room if you're watching us on YouTube when the shows come up. Hit subscribe on YouTube and you'll get a notification every time we go live. Otherwise, just send them to me on Twitter, at Locked On Twins, at Brandon_Warren. DMs are open and we can chit-chat there. Also, don't forget to check out Locked On Twins Breathless post-game minutes, which you can find pretty much right after every single game. And in each of those, we will have a stat that you will not hear elsewhere. And it was a fun one today, so we'll get to that in just a second. Today, we are brought to you by Sleeper. Swing for the fences on Sleeper picks, and you could win up to 100 times your money. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDON, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 30 states. Check out Sleeper today. Twins Orioles play on Friday at Target Field. It's a 7:10 first pitch. And if you're watching on YouTube and have not noticed, the clock behind me is a 1987 Twins World Series clock that I always have set to the next first pitch. A little bit of an Easter egg here in the studios, so to speak. But if you notice that, I'm trying to make sure my finger points there, but it's hard when it's on a screen here. But I have it set to the next first pitch time, which in this case is 7:10 Friday. It's going to be Bailey Ober against Cole Irvin. So Twins getting a second dose of Cole Irvin here in the last week. Catch every pitch of the Twins hometown broadcast on Friday with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Go hang with Corey and Danny. Just search Twins. Now we are diving right in. Pablo Lopez, absolutely brilliant in a 5-0 win on Wednesday evening, 5th of July. We're coming out of the holiday weekend here, and it's fun to watch the Twins again. 5-0. Pablo looked absolutely masterful. And actually, I want to focus on a post-game comment that he made. I'm getting this from The Athletic, but you could get it from a number of places because it was from his scrum tonight. As people, we spend so much time dwelling on failure that I think we don't cherish the good times as much. When good moments like this come, I think it's very, very important to enjoy. Now, what I love about that is that we so often get wrapped up in the failure of baseball because it's a sport where failure is normalized. It's just part of the deal. And even the best hitters in the game fail far more often than they succeed. So enjoying the small victories, no matter how small, is important because if you watch a sport with the idea that you can only have one fan base happy at the end of every single year, that's a difficult thing for me. If I didn't enjoy the road to where I'm going, I'm not going to enjoy where I went either. So I have to remind ourselves that, if we enjoyed the summer and got a lot of, enjoyment out of watching baseball. I think that to me, that goes a long way into if I deem a season successful or not. Now, Pablo, complete game shutout on 100 pitches. Now, if people aren't familiar, they're colloquially known as a Maddox if they're under 100 pitches for a complete game shutout, right? So it has to be a complete game shutout under 100 pitches thrown. And I actually had it pulled up, and now it seems I have lost it. The most recent Maddox that I could find was Ervin Santana in 2017. The Twins actually had a stretch where they had 3 complete games in the span of a month, and that was actually my stat of the day, was the Twins having 2 complete game shutouts for the first time in the span of a month, since Ervin Santana had one on July 5th, 2017, again on August 2nd, 2017, and then a couple days later, Bartolo Colon, of all people, had one. So not a lot, and we have back to 2000. So equal to, make sure we get this right here because I want to pull up pitches thrown under 100. So I can give you, like I said, we have all the way back to 2000. I can tell you all the Maddoxes. I can tell you all the complete game shutouts and all that fun stuff. All right, let's just get that range here. So Pablo misses a Maddox by 1 pitch. Since 2000, the Twins have had 9 Maddoxes. So Ervin Santana against the Giants on June 9th, 2017. So he had a real nice day on 6-9, which is great. Before that, you're not going to believe this, but Scott Diamond had a Maddox against the Cleveland Ball Club, 98-pitch complete game in July of 2012. Before that, Carl Pavano against the Royals in 2011. Scott Baker in 2009 against Cleveland. Johan Santana against the Mets. I want to say that on June 19th, 2007, was the Bert Blyleven getting his head buzzed game, where if Santana threw either a complete game or a shutout, that he would get to buzz Bert's head. So that was a cool one. Joe Mays in 2005, Carlos Silva in 2004, and then Brad Radke had a pair in 01 and 03. So 9 Maddoxes for the Twins in the span of the last 20 parts of 24 seasons. So obviously very close to rarefied territory, but not quite there for Pablo. Pablo, 17 swinging strikes on the night, 7 on the 4-seam, 5 on the changeup, 4 on the curve, and 1 on his sweeper. And I thought, for instance, he mixed it up really well. 100 pitches, as we've noted, 41 4-seamers, 21 sweepers, 18 changeups, 17 curveballs. So when you watched kind of the plate appearances that the Royals were taking as the game went on, I felt as though there were a number of times that the sequence just completely baffled the Royals hitters. Like there was times where there'd be a fastball right in a spot where the hitter could have done damage, and it was like they were expecting a changeup, a sweeper, whatever. And so everything played off the fastball, though. I mean, 7 swinging strikes on your fastball, your 4-seam fastball, it's a really nice night. And the as of tonight's game, so this includes data from tonight's game, the Royals have an MLB worst 694 OPS against 4-seam fastball. So I don't think it's entirely coincidental that the Royals fared poorly against Pablo's 4-seam fastball and he leaned on it fairly heavily. But it's always fun when a data point comes together with the narrative, which in this case it did. We will take a quick second here to talk about Sleeper, and then we're going to come back and break down this series just a little bit because there's a lot to get to here. But Sleeper, new sponsor on the program. Make sure you download the Sleeper app and you get the one-time code Locked On, and you get where do you even start? So basically, you play a fantasy sports plus real money gaming app focused on bringing people together through sports and gaming. Sleeper has become the fastest organically growing fantasy platform in the world, over 5 million active users in 2022. They earn some of the highest levels of engagement per user in the industry. So at Sleeper, it's not just about sports, but building personal connections and lasting memories. So Sleeper Picks is a real money product that connects friends over picks. Choose 2 to 8 of your favorite players from pregame live or even across different sports. Pick higher or lower than predicted stats. Only on Sleeper can you get up to 100 times payouts. Share with your friends and get rewarded together. So make sure you swing for the fences on Sleeper Picks. You can win 100 times your money. Use promo code Locked On, and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Predict the hottest baseball stats like home runs, hits, strikeouts, whatever. You can cash in on your daily fantasy skills. And again, use the promo code Locked On, and they will match your initial deposit up to $100. So it seems like a no-brainer to me, but you could easily argue that I am also a no-brainer. So probably wouldn't be unfair. Now let's go back and look at this this series offensively, because the Twins offensively had a really, really good series. And it wasn't just that they held down the Royals, because a lot of times, there'll be a disconnect between a good offensive series, a good pitching series, or a series where you scored just enough runs to overcome whatever pitching you had. They've had sweeps where they are not sweeps, but series they've taken 2 or 3, 3 or 4 where the numbers aren't that impressive. But offensively, in this case, Twins hit 305 with a 393 on base and a 537 slugging. So again, a very, very strong series. Carlos Correa with 5 hits, Donnie Solani with 5 hits. Kirilloff and Kepler each had 4. And multi-hit series for Jeffers, Michael A. Taylor, and Edouard Julien, with both of Julien's leaving the park. But in general, Twins 22 strikeouts, which in a 3-game series for this Twins team, averaging 7.33 strikeouts per game over any stretch, is got to be considered at least a modest win, if not more than that. In general, though, strong offensive series. Pitching-wise, Twins allow just 6 earned runs, so simple math there will tell you it's a 2.0 ERA, 0.81 whip, 11.3 strikeouts per 9, 1.3 walks per 9. Basically, the Twins faced 100 batters, and it appears as though 22 of them reached base. So 0.220 on base percentage, which again is going to win you a lot of ball games. Twins also just 1 error in the series on Jose Miranda, who has recently rejoined the club, and we'll see how long that lasts for as Royce Lewis is hurt. But again, very, very good series for your Twins. They're getting prepared to take on the Orioles. The Orioles are in the process of taking on the Yankees. They've dropped 2 of 3, but the 4th game, the possible rubber game, or rather where the Orioles can salvage a sweep, will come up Thursday. So they'll be coming in without a day off. Twins will have a day off in advance of Baltimore making it to town. But again, it's going to be a lot of the same with pitching matchups and that sort of thing. I don't believe they're going to miss out on both Wells and Gibson again this time. And so we're looking to see how it lands, because, they're going to get both of them, actually. So Cole Irvin against Bailey Ober on Friday, Sonny Gray and Tyler Wells Saturday, and then Joe Ryan, Kyle Gibson in the first half finale. So we'll see how that goes, but getting to face former Twin and Kyle Gibson, former Twin farmhand, and Tyler Wells should be interesting. Wells given up a ton of homers, and Gibson's been just a solid, just a decent starter. So we'll see where they go from here. But Twins, Orioles wrapping up the season series coming up here this weekend in advance of going to the All-Star game. We'll see, too. The All-Star game is still kind of up in the air right now. Sonny Gray is the Twins' only representative, but if it comes down to injury replacements, which there'll be a few and have been a few already, and pitchers like starters going on Sunday, some of that will line up in a way where those pitchers will be replaced as well. So I wouldn't sleep on the possibility that they name maybe Joan Duran. Joe Ryan is starting the first half finale. So even if they name him to the All-Star team, he would not be making that appearance. Now, with that said, they did name Seattle's George Kirby as a replacement. And what they could have done was name Ryan the replacement and then Kirby to replace him. But for one reason or another, they didn't do that. So still hopeful a couple more Twins can make it in there, whether it's Joe Ryan, Joan Duran, kind of the extent of it, unless you really wanted to get pushy for Pablo, but he's not right there yet. He's the way he cruised on Wednesday, he can get back there pretty quickly, but it's either going to be Ryan, Gray, Duran, some combination of those three in Seattle next week. So with that said, we're moving forward here. The George Kirby over Joe Ryan thing to me was a little strange. I want to touch more on that in just a second, but thanks for making us your first listen every single day. Make sure to check back on the off day. We're going to see who we can get our hands on as far as a guest, whether it's Tom Schreier, whether it's, whoever we can lock down, or else we'll just do like a mailbag, just something to get us through the off day, because I don't know about you guys, but these off days make me crazy. I'm ready to I'm ready to get out there and watch baseball every single day after the Twins playing so poorly. Now that they're playing well, you kind of want to get back on the horse. So Joe Ryan, for people who are not really into the statistical side of things, we'll break it down in a non-statistical way too. But 2.4 FanGraphs WAR basically has him tied for 10th place with Stroman, Luzardo, Logan Webb, Garrett Cole, Mitch Keller. Right behind them is George Kirby, who is at 2.3. He's thrown 101 innings. Joe Ryan's 102.2. But Ryan's got more strikeouts. Ryan has, more walks, more homers per 9. But in general, it's pretty indiscriminate who is better than the other. So again, maybe I'm just arguing a point that doesn't really need to be argued. I just feel like Joe Ryan has been, to this point, slightly better than George Kirby. And I think it's hard not to feel slighted by the Twins having such a good pitching staff and only one representative at the All-Star game. I almost said the Pro Bowl. That would not have been terribly bright. But yeah, just to see how the Twins rate right now statistically pitching-wise. Entire pitching staffs. We'll do entire pitching staffs first. Twins, 12.2 FanGraphs WAR. Only the Phillies at 12.8 or higher. So Twins whole staff, 3.59 ERA, which, as you might guess, places them number one overall in MLB. Statistically, if you want to check out FIP, 3.70, Twins are best in MLB. XFIP, 3.95, Twins are fifth. So to see a pitching staff like that, Twins also top tier, third in strikeouts per 9. Their walk rate is extremely low, third best. And if we break it down to starters are where the Twins can really shine. They're at 10 FanGraphs WAR. They're the only team at or above 10. Phillies 9.7, Seattle 8.6. So again, this pitching staff, most strikeouts, starting staff, third most strikeouts in baseball. Really shocking that they only had one player make the All-Star game. And again, I'm not trying to say that it matters all that much. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, but you want to see guys get rewarded for how well they've played. And Joe Ryan has been everything the Twins could have asked and then some. All right, so we're coming down the stretch here. Twins, Orioles at Target Field Friday, 7:10 p.m. Cole Irvin against Bailey Ober. Irvin getting the Twins for the second time in a very short stretch, as is Ober with the O's. So that'll be a fun little storyline to keep track of. You can catch every pitch of the Twins' hometown broadcast with Corey and Danny with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Twins. We mentioned this earlier, but so the Twins have the Orioles coming to town. If you missed the Orioles series or you just haven't been that plugged into the Orioles, right now they're running second in the AL East, 50-35. Chances are you saw them handle the Twins handle the Orioles fairly well last time around. Actually, so Chris Valamont, former Twin, just got DFA'd by them today. So that was interesting because he had been brought up just in the middle of the Twins series on July 1. So it doesn't last a week, DFA'd. We like to keep up with our old friends, and maybe that'll actually be our old friend update for tonight is Chris Valamont designated for assignment, and Colton Cowser coming to the big leagues. So very, very exciting to see where he ends up landing, because started in left field, made his big league debut on Wednesday, and this is a team with a ton of young talent. We mentioned this too last time around. They may not be as nasty as they're going to get, but at the end of the day, you look at a team with Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman, and I mean, even their older guys, Cedric Mullins, Austin Hayes, Anthony Santander, all 28 years old. Jordan Westberg, 24, Colton Cowser, 23. This is a team that is going to be incredible once they can, acclimate a Jackson Holiday, see what Grayson Rodriguez has to offer once he kind of gets his feet wet. Heston Kjerstad, another position player. This is a scary team moving forward. And so I'll be curious to see how the Twins handle them at home. Granted, they took 2 or 3 in Baltimore. You got kind of a feel-good, coming off a feel-good series against the Royals. I hate to say it, but this feels like a series where the Twins take 1 of 3 and don't feel too good about it going into the break. Who knows? Because at the same time, too, it's not as though Cleveland is playing all that well lately. They had to face the Braves, which we saw up close and personal, how difficult they can be. So we'll see what the rest of this first half has to hold for the Twins. Again, our old friend update, Chris Valamont DFA'd by the Orioles on Wednesday. I'm going to check quick because I'm not even sure he got into a game, if I'm not mistaken. There we go. So Valamont got into 1 game through 2/3 of an inning, got a strikeout. That was it. So I don't know. We'll see if he hangs around, because again, we know how Twins fans like the old friends, and I like keeping up with them too. So I had someone ask me, and we'll wrap with this. What do we make of Max Kepler? So Kepler had an 0 for tonight. He's hitting 218, 285 on base, 430 slugging percentage. So basically a league average hitter. Came in to the game at 101, came out of the game at 97. Not going to fluctuate that much at this point in the season. But with that said, defensive value is still there. He's been a reasonably productive player, even if he's not been all that exciting. So again, people see what Matt Wallner is doing in AAA. I mean, he's absolutely making a mockery of the league. And at the same time, too, though, I think we get caught up in the idea that, well, you can just get rid of Kepler and bring up Wallner. Well, they can very easily coexist, because the opportunity for Joey Gallo to get hurt, Alex Kirilloff to get hurt, any number of guys to get hurt where Wallner comes up and doesn't just take the spot of Max Kepler, but an actual spot of a player who's injured. I don't know. To me, I get caught up, or I think people get caught up in the idea that you either have to have Wallner or Kepler. And again, I'm not saying they have to keep Kepler, but he basically is who he is at this point. He's a league average bat, plays good defense and right. And as much as we as Twins types want to think that they have guys beating down the door, Alex Kirilloff has been pretty good. He's playing a lot of first base. Trevor Larnach has been a whole lot more miss than hit this year in the big leagues. Matt Wallner might end up being a poor man's Joey Gallo. So again, let him hit his way into a spot and then see what happens. Certainly it would be nice if the Twins had the DH role for him and or Edouard Julien to circle out of, but we're not at that point. But basically this person was asking Max Kepler as far as where do you see him in the organization right now? Do you think he's on the way out? Do you think he's in a solid place? Have the last few games solidified his standing? Which, to me, I think his standing was always a lot better than we thought. And so in order to solidify his standing he didn't really need to do that. He was just kind of where he was, and it hasn't gone anywhere. Some curiosities this year for Kepler, though. Not walking as much, career low 7.6% walk rate, and a career high strikeout rate at 22.4%. So he's doing things a little differently there. Low BABIP, 227, but again, for this guy, career 247. He's 20 points off that, but it hits the ball on the ground. His BABIP is not going to be all that great. He just makes a lot of very basic common outs. So with that said, I think they kind of ride it out with Kepler for the rest of the year, at which point I believe his option comes up for 2024, and the Twins will probably decline that and just move on, unless they want to take the 1-year route of insurance and see what happens. A lot will depend on, where Byron Buxton is physically, if Austin Martin or Royce Lewis or anyone else has appeared as an outfield option. Because keep in mind, Michael A. Taylor, too, is a free agent at the end of the year. Joey Gallo is a free agent. So Gallo, Taylor, and Kepler all in the same offseason. That's basically the entire outfield to dump. So I'm not sure they're going to want to do that. So we'll see what happens. But with that said, I get and I understand why people have been annoyed with Kepler in general, because he's had a few moments too that felt like unforced mental lapses, like unforced errors in the field, whether it's hustle or the throw going the wrong place or anything like that. So with that said, they're not just going to dump Kepler for no reason. I still think if you can trade him to someone like the Yankees for a similar package that they got back for Jaime Garcia, which was Zach Littell and Dietrich Enns, I would definitely try that. If you can get a couple interesting arms for him and you send him to New York where he might be able to hit a little bit at the short porch and right, maybe there's a fit there. But with that said, again, the Twins are not in a position where they can just throw away even decent average outfielders, and that's basically what Kepler is at this point. So the short to medium term play is probably that he's going to stick around and play a lot, assuming he's healthy. His WOBA and ex-WOBA, there's not that much of a gap either. So basically he is who he is at this point. Is there hope for anything? His hard hit rate and medium, his soft hit rate for contact is about where it's been. So basically his rates are all pretty much what you'd expect, though he is hitting the ball on the ground less this year than last. So we'll see. The line drive rate, though, is as low as it's been ever. So probably not a great sign. But the ground balls are down, so we'll see what happens. But with that said, I'm not putting money on Kepler being shipped out anytime soon. And that's not because he's played better of late, but just because he was never that close in the first place. Now, with that said, we got our old friend update out of the way with Chris Valamont getting DFA'd by the Orioles, pitched again very briefly with them. We'll see where he lands. But with that said, that's a wrap. That's it for this edition of Locked On Twins. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure you follow at Locked On Twins, at Brandon_WARNE. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Come back. We'll have some off-day hashtag content for you on Thursday. Subscribe, like, give us a 5-star rating on whatever platform you are listening or watching on. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us some comments. We'll have a lot of fun with it. Otherwise, this is Brandon Warren signing off saying thank you so much, and don't forget to stop by tomorrow.